The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our Child Nutrition Program webinar. My name is Colleen Fillmore, and I'm the Idaho State Department of Education Child Nutrition Director. Along with me today is the Child Nutrition Program State Agency team. Please begin submitting your questions, and we will address those at the end of this webinar. It is truly hard to believe that we are now into the month of December, and we are hopeful that you had a relaxing Thanksgiving. You're able to take some time with yourself and your loved ones. You are certainly deserving of that with all of the work you've been doing. I just have a couple of short reminders, and then we will begin with the specific program information in the Q&As. The first reminder is that the due date for the Idaho $2 million in Idaho Rebounds money for Child Nutrition Program is coming up very quickly. To receive the money your district qualifies, you must submit into the GRA the needed paperwork by December 30th, 2020. And if you have any questions about this, please email Shawn Charters at our office, or you can give her a call also. The bullets are up on the PowerPoint that Jessica has up that shows what it is that is the below criteria for being eligible for this money. Okay, secondly, the Child Nutrition Program Town Hall, the next one will be Thursday, December 18th from 2:30 to 3:30. So, and I hope I got that date right. So I will have Heather confirm that to make sure that is the correct date. I'm kind of questioning with my notes right here. So any questions you might have with the town hall, please address those to Heather Bloom in our office. So we are now going to go to our agenda. The agenda is as follows. Linda will be going after me talking about the non-discrimination statement. Mary Ann and Dominique will be giving some information under the summer food program. Heather then will cover some HACCP and COVID plan materials. TJ will talk about USDA foods, and then it will come back to myself to address the Q&As that are being entered into the webinar as we go through the program. So Linda, you are up with non-discrimination statement.
Hi, everyone. Whoop, sorry. Oh.
Linda, I can see your screen, the non-discrimination.
You can?
Up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, it's an early morning. You all know that. So I am here to give you an update on the USDA non-discrimination statement. Part of our reviews that were now being conducted for seamless summer option, we're discovering that there are some confusions on the non-discrimination statement. So I thought I would come up with a easy handout for you on when and where to have your non-discrimination statement. So any place that you mention USDA programs, you have to have a non-discrimination statement, and that includes Facebook or your web page. So I've got some examples here. So a Facebook page has a link to, which is the red arrow, to the district's non-discrimination statement, which is listed below. This is from Bonneville School District. The bottom of your web page also has to have the non-discrimination statement, and this is an example from Gooding. So they have their complaint procedure forms, the log, and the non-discrimination statement listed at the bottom of their website in full. One thing that we're finding is when you're sending information out to families on the free meals, your non-discrimination statement is either missing or it's in a font that is much smaller than all other words to get it onto the page. So if it's a web page or an email notification, it does have to have the full non-discrimination statement in there or a link to the non-discrimination statement. And it has to be in a font size that's readable. And readable is a big, it's a big thing with USDA. The one thing, the graphics, do they include the non-discrimination statement? So if it is one small graphic that you're putting up on the side of a building, it needs to have at least the small non-discrimination statement at the bottom where it says this institution is an equal opportunity provider. And one of the questions that came up is they've created this flyer to be handed out with the small non-discrimination statement. Once they put it on their website, do they have to redo the flyer to include the full? No, you don't have to do that as long as your website has a link to the full non-discrimination statement. And the final thing is, we're in unprecedented times. I know you guys are going at a moment's notice, but you do still have to notify families that the meals are free, this is a USDA program, and include the non-discrimination statement. But are all students and parents aware that if they send their children to school with a meal, because they want to pack their child a meal, milk is not free. They can't just take a milk and have that be a free milk. They have to be charged for it. And if an adult, for whatever reason, shows up and wants to get a meal, they have to pay for it. So did you make your parents and children aware of that? And is the non-discrimination statement on those types of announcements? So I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention to make sure that you know that you still have to do the non-discrimination statement and put it on your Facebook page, your web page in its entirety, or a link to it, and at least the small statement on one page or smaller documents. So with that being said, I will give this over to Marianne and Dominique.
Good morning, everyone. Can the CMP team let me know if you guys are seeing my screen?
We can see it.
Yeah, it looks good, Marianne.
I see it.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I will be doing, for my section of the webinar, I would like to take this time to do some high-level reminder regarding your summer feeding site applications. We wanted to take this time as kind of a halfway point through the school year and just do some friendly reminders because we have seen some various operational model changes that has happened. For example, changing from an open site to a closed enrolled site, maybe some changes in your dates of operation. And so we wanted to just take this time to remind everyone to please be sure to update the site application. And the few specific sections that we wanted to remind everyone is regarding the site type. So if you look at your site application for question number 20, we want to make sure that your actual operation reflects the site type that you have selected on your site application. If you're operating an open site, make sure that is selected. If you change your operational site type from open to closed or vice versa, please be sure that that is also updated on your site application. And as a reminder, Open Site serves all children ages 1 to 18, and that is kids from your community as well as the school district. And any closed enrolled site only serves children enrolled in your district or your school. The second slide here is for question number 24, making sure that you select the accurate meal types that you are serving at your school. So breakfast and lunch. If you're serving a snack in one of your summer feeding sites, that make sure that is also selected. And then for question 25, we wanted to make sure that we highlighted this section. For any sponsor utilizing the offer versus serve, you have to make sure that this is selected under question 25. If offer versus serve is being used for cafeteria style meal service, but unitized meals are being provided for your community grab and go, please be sure to select all applicable areas. Oops. My next slide here is regarding the calendar features on your site applications for both breakfast and the lunch section. As you can see in this end date here with the circle, the red circle and the arrow, making sure that for any of your sites operating past the school year, we are asking for our sponsors to put the end date of June 30th, 2021. And the reason for that is our current nationwide waivers for non-congregate feeding, parent pickup, meal service times, those are all applicable through June 30th. And so therefore, that must be the end date on your site application for your summer feeding packet. For any operation during the July and August months, we are waiting further guidance regarding those two months of operation. And as soon as we receive more information for those 2 months, we'll be sure to send that over to you. The other section that I wanted to highlight is making sure that on the calendar feature, again, for your breakfast and lunch section, that the days you have selected on this second screenshot, the days that you have selected are the days that you are operating your summer feeding program. And for the days that are unselected, those are the days that you have indicated you are closed for operation. So for example here, for this 2 screenshots in the month of October, there is 19 days selected under the month of October. And as you can see, that reflects the days selected on this second screenshot with the days under the month of October 2020. So making sure that as you guys are changing your site operation dates, perhaps maybe for school closure because of COVID cases, or perhaps you decided to continue meal service during the Christmas break, making sure that those days are selected in your calendar feature. One of the other things that we wanted to highlight is specifically for sponsors who are serving multiple days of meals in one distribution. We want to make sure that the days designated for those meals must be selected on your calendar month to make sure that you are able to claim those meals appropriately. The next slide I wanted to review over is the meal times section, as you guys can see highlighted for the breakfast and the lunch section here. For any sites that you're operating that's providing meals in the classroom or in the classroom or the cafeteria, but also the grab and go community meals, you have to make sure that meal times must capture the beginning of the first meal service as the start time, as you guys can see in the example here, 7 a.m. And then also capture the end of the last meal service time as the end time. So with these 2 screenshots, as you guys can see, the start of the breakfast and lunch is 7 a.m. and then the end time is 1:30 a.m. Now, where you're going to differentiate those meal service for the in-classroom meal service as well as the community grab and go is in question 29 under the mealtime exception. As you guys can see in this example, this sponsor indicated that the grab and go meals from 10 to 10:30 for both breakfast and lunch, that's the grab and go for the community. Breakfast for in-school students is from 7 to 9, and lunch for in-school students is 10 to 1:30. And the reason for this is we want to make sure we capture and document your essentially 3 meal service times for that one particular site. And unfortunately, we can't differentiate for 3 different meal service in this time in B2 and L2. And so therefore, that's why we want you guys to document it under question 29. And the last slide we wanted to make sure that we remind you guys is your average daily participation number. For any of the open sites that you're operating, please make sure that your ADP under B5 and L5 is updated so that we can update your site cap for each of your open sites. And then for any closed enrolled sites, the average daily participation number must be the number of enrolled children at your school. And as you guys can see at the bottom of this screenshot, number 23 on your site application, if you're operating a closed enrolled site, that will be your site cap for, your closed enrolled site. So again, please make sure as you guys have a moment of breather and checking some of your documentation, please make sure that you update your site applications accordingly. And if you guys have any questions or clarifications at all, please contact the summer feeding team. And with that, I want to pass it on to Dominique, who will be doing a quick overview or a quick reminder regarding annual training.
Thank you, Marianne. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are all enjoying a lovely Thursday morning. I have just a few quick reminders and updates for those program operators that are operating the Summer Food Service Program. Annual training in 2021, annual summer trainings will be conducted online, and we will have those available for sponsors starting February 1st, 2021, with a completion due date of April 23rd. So this will give you time to complete all of the online training requirements for program operations in 2021. If you did not receive an email from the state agency on December 2nd regarding 2019-2020 summer food program training, your organization has fulfilled the annual training requirements for operations through December 31st, 2020. Beginning in January, that will start the 2021 school year or summer food program year for training requirements, and we will update the sponsors on February 1st as soon as those trainings are available. Thank you very much, and I will turn it back to Heather.
Heather.
Are you next? Thank you, Heather.
Heather.
Thank you, Dominique. So the notifications that I have this morning for you all is really centered around food safety plans. Like Linda said, we're starting to conduct some SSO site reviews in conjunction with folks that will be receiving administrative reviews next year. And what we've noticed is that food safety plans continue to need to be updated. Those are a living document that need to be customized really to each site, not even to the district, but to the site in which it's being applied, because you could have different operational constraints from one school to another. So be sure that those documents are updated, that they're applicable to your current operations, that if you have staff with questions on how to handle food safety concerns in any given meal service line, curbside pickup, delivery style, that they have a written procedure they can go to, so there's consistency and documentation that you're following proper food safety protocols. So that HACCP plan, in terms of needing to be updated, some things that we've noticed: if you have started transporting food in any way, shape, or form to accommodate COVID operations, even if it's going to a classroom and that's something you haven't done before, make sure your food safety plan accounts for time and temperature, food safe temperature controls. If you have specific equipment or if you're using time as a food safety measure, make sure that you have that written down so your staff knows how to be sure that they're following proper food safety protocols. And that really protects you if there is ever any question about a child getting sick from food that they ate. Those protocols and written procedures can really be your documentation that you followed food safe methods. And we've had districts that really needed to rely on that. So make sure that's updated, that your staff is trained on it. We're going to be asking for those of you getting reviews if staff is aware of the policies and procedures in place, if you have documentation that they received training. And then we also want you to be aware and to communicate with your staff what are the district's employee exclusion policies. So if your district has put anything in place in terms of signs or symptoms of COVID or any other illness, when do employees call in sick? What's an appropriate process for them to follow? And if you're not aware of your district having that, making sure you're providing that for your staff, because they are essential employees and they need to know when it's appropriate to come to work or not and how you're going to need to substitute should they call in sick. So those policies are things that we've been seeing either not in place or maybe not sufficient, and we wanted to provide the reminder to everyone. With that, there's also COVID shutdown plans. We've had folks call and say, okay, we're needing to shut down. What do I do? And since the beginning of the year, I mean, using the town hall as an example, we've hosted forums for districts to get together and talk about what is the plan if this happens in your district in terms of different educational models, or if food service operations need to change to accommodate different delivery styles. How do different degrees of operations impact that? And we do have some districts that have had to fully shut down because COVID rates are too high, either in the school community or the community at large. And so how does food service plan to respond? In those case scenarios, those are local level decisions. We encourage you to collaborate with other operations in your area, other food service directors in your region of the state, or if you're a part of a co-op. We've seen some co-op plans that are really proactive and robust. And so just encouraging you at this midpoint to check in, see if the plan that you put in place at the beginning of the year is sufficient, if it needs to be updated or changed, if different things that you didn't anticipate are happening, reaching out to other directors in your area to ask if they have experienced any of these issues or concerns or situations. So those are the updates that I had for you all this morning. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. I'm thinking it's TJ, but yep, TJ
yes,
has an update with USDA Food.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for all of the information thus far. And before I get started, I just wanted to say aloha to everybody. Hopefully that gives you a sense of warmth and a vision of someplace other than chilly Idaho right now. But we do have a lot to cover today. So the first thing I wanted to make everyone aware is that the information that we'll be going over has been provided in the handout section. So you'll find that there is a USDA Foods Timely Updates PDF if you'd like to go ahead and download that for future reference. Additionally, in the handout section of the webinar, you'll find that we've uploaded a copy of the WebSCM user guide because we will be covering some information from that as well this morning. So I just wanted to make everyone aware, as we have discussed on previous webinars and in town halls, inventory management is critical this year, as it is every year. But COVID has unfortunately and necessarily impacted our inventory at the warehouse. And so currently we are finding that our inventory levels for many of the USDA food products are at an all-time high in the warehouse. And the result of that is obviously tied back to some of the limitations that schools are experiencing with the meal service model, and how you're having to meet the needs of students and the community, and dealing with potentially lesser amounts of staff. We have been informed that some rural areas have been impacted greatly because of COVID throughout their staff. So as a result, the USDA Foods team has had to make some decisions that will impact your USDA foods. So the first decision that was made, the USDA Food direct delivery ground beef that we would normally receive 1 to 1.5 truckloads every month, we have had to cancel 3 truckloads that were scheduled for delivery to the state warehouse. They would be received in the month of February, 2 of those loads, and then 1 load in the month of March. And that is because currently we are not having RAs that requisitioned that product back in February 2020 draw down the amounts that they ordered. So we're basically at capacity for receiving additional truckloads of ground beef. So it's important for you to know that, because we need you to release that product and have a plan for using it. But currently 3 truckloads have been canceled. Additionally, USDA direct delivery fruits, we had to change some delivery dates because we had truckloads that would be received in the not too distant future, but we do not have capacity to receive those truckloads. So we moved the delivery date for 1 truckload of canned sliced peaches, 1 truckload of sliced pears, and 1 truckload of canned mixed fruit. Those loads were scheduled for delivery to the state warehouse in March, but they've been delayed until September of 2021. The reason it's important for you to be aware of this is that particular change in a delivery date means that there will be changes to your available entitlement. Because those products were originally scheduled and procured with school year 2021 entitlement, and the change for delivery pushes it into school year 21-22, that entitlement will now be impacted in school year 21-22 as opposed to 2021. So what does that mean? We'll discuss further how it impacts your entitlement, but we just need you to be aware of it. Additionally, USDA has been receiving some pressure from processors because processors are really struggling with the amount of product that they are actually liable for in bonding amounts. So USDA has reached out to state distributing agencies, that's us, to ask us to cancel truckloads of raw bulk materials that would normally be sent to food processors. So we currently have been asked to cancel approximately 1/2 of a truckload that was split with another state of ground beef that would be utilized for processing into hamburger patties. We've also been asked to consider canceling 5 truckloads of poultry that would be processed into our further processed chicken items such as chicken nuggets, spicy patties, 8-piece cut chicken, those kinds of things. So we just need for you to be aware that the state agency is responding to USDA. We will cancel the 1/2 truckload. We're accepting that recommendation, and we're going to ask that we only be held accountable for canceling 3 of the 5 truckloads of poultry. If we cancel all 5 truckloads, we have projected that we will not have enough product to meet the needs throughout the rest of the school year for those further processed chicken items. So more to come on that. Keep your fingers crossed that USDA accepts our recommendation so we'll have access to those products. And now we'll talk a little bit more about what is probably a good news for most of you. The state agency still has available surplus pounds of products, of many of the bulk materials. So if you find that you need access to any apples for processing, or beef that would have been sent to Tyson, or chicken, or eggs, or peaches that are produced into the half-cup quantities at National Food Groups, or peanuts for the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at Smucker's, we do have bulk product available. So we need for you to remember that if you need those items, please email the USDA Foods team, and we've made that email access available to you. We have to have a description of the item that you'd like, and we also need for you to send us the case quantity that you will need for the remainder of the school year. Then the state agency will facilitate the transfer from our surplus account to your account. We will coordinate with Northwest to make sure that the transfers are updated in the inventory release software system. And then once that product is made available, the recipient agencies need to make sure that they go in and release the product so that you can receive it for delivery. So make sure we know what you need, how much you need, and then we'll facilitate a transfer. It's important to keep in mind that the standard per case processing and delivery fees apply. However, most of the products in the surplus account do not impact your entitlement. So we would consider that a bonus product to you. So please help us use those products if you find a need for additional products that you do not have access to. Finally, when it comes to inventory management, keep in mind that we have warehouse storage limitations. The state agency has communicated in the past that we have a 60-day dwell time policy. So what that means is when products are received in the warehouse, recipient agencies, that's you folks, need to use the inventory release software system, select the products that you have available for delivery within that 60-day dwell time. So that's 2 delivery periods. If you can't take it all, that's fine, but at least take some of it, and because essentially that's what's causing the issues right now and forcing us to have to cancel or delay delivery of products, because our warehouse can't continue to receive products because the products aren't being drawn down that were previously received. So please do your utmost to honor that 60-day dwell time. Now, what happens if you can't use the product? There are options. You have the option to offer items that you know are yours because they're in your inventory release software system to other school districts through the Exchange tab on the Exchange document. The other option is release the items for delivery, receive them, and then you can offer those to other school districts in your immediate community if they're willing to come and get those from you, or you can offer them to nonprofit organizations in your region and in your community. And I assure you that there are food banks right now that would gratefully receive those products, but we can't use the warehouse as a holding facility. There is simply not enough room. We will have to continue to turn back trucks if product is not released. So in a nutshell, that's what we need to do for inventory management. Now we'll go ahead and move on to how entitlement is impacted by the previous information that I just shared with you. So when cancellations occur, the estimated entitlement value is returned to the recipient agencies who actually requested the product in WebSCM in February 2020. So the items that I previously discussed, the cancellations and the adjustments to delivery dates, have significantly impacted our available overall entitlement to the tune of about $700,000. So RAs currently have received back into their entitlement values the value of those canceled and change delivery trucks. So what we need for you to do is closely monitor WebSCM notifications, because those WebSCM notifications tell you what the state agency, distributing agency, is having to do to manage inventory. And those notifications have very specific information. They will tell you if a product is canceled. And if you see a product is canceled, you then can assume that there is likely an estimated entitlement value that was returned to you if you ordered that product. Additionally, if we have to continue to delay delivery, you will also see an adjustment to the entitlement. So I encourage you to download a copy from the handouts of this webinar, the WebSCM user guide. And on page 19 of the WebSCM user guide, you will see instructions for how to run the entitlement bonus summary report in WebSCM. That report shows you in full detail how much your initial entitlement was, how much has been paid or used up as a result of product that has been purchased and received, and how much remaining entitlement is in your balance. It's really critical for you to know that amount of information. I also am asking that each RA run the requisition status report in WebSCM, and you'll find that on page 39 of the WebSCM user guide, because that particular report will show you where all of the requisitions for product that you entered in February of 2020 currently stand. So those may have already been purchased. Some of them may not yet have been purchased because they're not scheduled for delivery until maybe January, February, March, April of next year. Why you need to know that is because that information plays into how you will continue to forecast your meal service models under this COVID pandemic in the coming months. So please access those reports and utilize them in your meal planning and preparation. And now we'll go ahead and move to DoD allocations. So now that you know that you may likely have additional funding available once you run your WebSCM entitlement bonus summary report, RAs will have the opportunity to allocate some of their available estimated entitlement to the USDA DoD Fresh Fruits and Vegetable Program, so that you can utilize the entitlement in the year that it was granted. So the state agency will be sending out an allocation survey, but prior to allocating any funds, RAs have a responsibility to first run the entitlement bonus summary report in WebSCM. You will not be able to complete the survey until you know exactly what the value of entitlement remaining is. Then the RAs can request about 75% or less of your remaining entitlement to be allocated to DoD. And the reason that we're capping that at 75% is because when you claim product through the surplus tab of the exchange document, entitlement is impacted. So we need to make sure that you retain some entitlement. Additionally, any truckloads of product that have not yet been purchased and delivered are not yet paid for either. It's only when those products are purchased that your entitlement is actually impacted. So we have to hold back a portion of the remaining entitlement to ensure that RAs do not overdraw their entitlement value. And then on that allocation survey, once all of the survey responses, the deadline is reached, the state agency will review requests and you will be notified about additional allocations that are made available in the favors account. So some of the reminders about utilization of DoD, keep in mind that DoD does have a minimum order of $150 per delivery. Now I have heard from our contractor that from time to time, some of the rural areas, they try to honor the delivery if it's close or a little bit less than that minimum order. But contractually speaking, it is in the contract that there is a $150 minimum order. Additionally, keep in mind when you're considering how much allocation you want to go to DoD, that you only have until June 30th, 2021 to utilize those funds. Allocations to DoD do not carry over at the end of the school year. So if you have any questions about this presentation at all or the information that was shared, please make sure that you use the USDA Foods team at sde.idaho.gov, and we're happy to help you sort through all of this information. Thank you so much for your attention. And now I will turn the time back over to Colleen so we can address questions and answers.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. That was excellent information. So we only have a couple of questions. So if you do have any questions you haven't typed in yet, please do that right away before we close the webinar. So the first question is, we have a community Facebook page. Is it all right to post flyers to the site with just a short non-discrimination statement? And Linda, you want to take that one?
Sure, thanks, Colleen. It is okay to post it as long as there's a link to the full non-discrimination statement on the Facebook page or the flyer, like the link shown in the handout.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then the last question we have is, during an emergency closure and a school has been closed for a day or two, do we adjust the calendar? And Marianne, I'll give that one to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Colleen. Yes, please be sure to update your calendars for all of your meal types, so for both breakfast and lunch, your actual operation days you are serving the meals. For any emergency school closures, please be sure to update this on your site application as soon as you're able to, but definitely before you submit your claim for reimbursement. We want to make sure that you guys are checking for accuracy prior to your claim submission. Thanks, Colleen.
Yeah, thank you, Marianne. Okay, so we do not have any more questions. I'm just going to ask the Child Nutrition State Agency team if there is anything else that they would like to add. And with that silence, I will assume the answer. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is Heather, and I just wanted to confirm the date for the next town hall. It's going to be the afternoon of Wednesday, December 16th, 2:30 to 3:30 Mountain Time. I remember that you had asked for confirmation on that. So December 16th, Wednesday, is going to be the next town hall.
Perfect, Heather. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you put that clarification in because I do think I maybe gave a different date. So we did get another question. Does that include Seamless changing the dates for closure? So does someone on the Seamless team want to go ahead and answer that? And I'm
happy
assuming
to
the
take that
question.
one.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Seamless Summer site application doesn't have the same degree of granularity that the SFSP site applications do. So because the claim is based on the month and there's the days and the times indicated in the site application, we actually do not expect sponsors to go in and modify those based on school closures, where as long as you're operating and serving meals, we don't need the same degree of detail in the Seamless Summer site app.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, and then the next question is, are town hall webinars in person or are they in person? And so all of these meetings, and TJ has added that too, they are all via Zoom. Heather does send out invites for the town halls and Jessica sends them out for the webinars. The webinars are on GoTo and then the town halls are on Zoom. If you have not received these invites, please let us know. And someone is asking if the link can be shared here during the webinar. Honestly, I don't know that we have the link for the Zoom town hall right now. Do we have that, Heather, or is that something that you will send out to everyone?
Yeah, I'll be sending it out via broadcast email since we have a more limited audience on the webinars.
Very good. Okay, and the person who put that request in for the link, if you do not get that link before that due date that Heather mentioned, then go ahead and give our office a call. Okay, so we do not have any other questions or input at this time, so we will go ahead and close the webinar. We hope to hear from you during the town hall. So thank you very much for your hard work, everyone. Have a great day.